Hi, this is Chandrashekhar Prabhu once again. Today we are going to discuss something which is a bit serious. We saw recurring landslides a couple of days ago and people dying due to landslides. A lot of you have been writing to me and sending me messages saying that I must talk about it. This is something which we must understand first as to why Mumbai floods and what are the after effects of the flood. We all know that Mumbai was a group of islands, and most of Mumbai, as we see today, was not land. It was marshy land or a creek or mangroves and things like that. And when the gaps between the islands got filled in slowly, initially it was southern part of Mumbai, and then it grew up to the south central, and then to north. Initially there was 200 years ago, Breach Candy was connected to Worli, and then we had what is the Mahalakshmi railway station and the land of the race course, and then we further increased it up to Dadar and then to Sion and so on. So when this city, the entire city is full of reclamation, the reclaimed area is naturally slightly lower from the mean sea level than the remaining part. And the remaining part are rocky areas on a slightly elevated portion. And when it rains, from the rocky area and solid land, all the water rushes towards the low-lying area, and low-lying area naturally becomes flooded. Now, if the stormwater drains that are meant to take away water when it floods have a certain amount of capacity. If it rains within half an hour, more than the capacity of the stormwater drains to drain the water away, then it floods. So if it floods, the worry is not that it floods. If it floods, it should be drained within 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. If the stormwater drains are not good enough because it has rained more than what the stormwater drains can take, then there is an additional help with regard to pumping. You have pumps which automatically get switched on after a while, and then all the water gets pushed into the sea. However, when there is a high tide, there is a reverse ingress from the sea into the land, and at that time the stormwater system doesn't work, and so we have problem. So what is the solution really for that? We have this technology of boring tunnels. We are doing it for the underground metro. We are doing it for boring the tunnel when it comes to the to the sea front, to the coastal road. We are boring a tunnel entirely through the Malabar Hill. So we now know the technology of tunneling. If wherever it floods, if in such areas underground there is by way of tunneling, you create certain underground reservoirs in different parts of the city, then water can be accumulated there. If we require it, it can be used. If we don't require it, when there is no rains, that water can be straight away sent to the sea. This is a technology which is available with us. We don't require to import anything for that. And with the technology available to us, I'm sure we can really control flooding. Then what happens is the landslides. You see, we are a part of an extremely fragile ecosystem, but our powers that be never understood this. Our greed to develop and develop more and create more wealth out of land forced us to build on hilltops. Normally, hilltops and hill slopes are never used for construction. Hill slopes, unless you know that they are powerful and they are strong, fragile hill slopes are never taken up for construction. But if you load a hilltop heavily with huge amount of buildings on top, whether it be Malabar Hills, whether it be the portion where the hanging garden is, if you load the top of a hill, then the slopes become very fragile and the stones start coming in and landslides happen. all over Mumbai we have seen landslide, and wherever on the hill slopes you have the slums have come down like it happened a few days ago, and people die. So the hill slopes need separate set of planning. Hilltop and hill slope, we have never considered these things when we take plan. We just consider it as land and we convert it. All our no development zones are meant to be places which will absorb the water, instead of there being reservoirs which would absorb the surplus water. We are converting all our no development zone into developable zone, hence destroying the ecology of the city. So all these things in turn matter a lot when it comes to flooding, and the old buildings then collapse because they are in any case more than 150 200 years old, and more so now the newly constructed buildings collapse because most of them are unauthorized, especially in the slums. Ground floor and 14 feet construction is permitted, but that has now increased to 20 feet, 25 feet, 2 floors, 3 floors, 4 floors, which have been built one above the other without any structural calculation, without any architect doing the planning. And then these are disasters waiting to happen. Once it rains, all the weak portions in these unauthorized construction give way and buildings collapse, as happened in Malad a month or so earlier. Now, all these things, you see, the stormwater drains. Once it rains, in order to ensure that the stormwater should go, the covers of the drains are kept open. And when it is flooded and people are walking through the floods, they don't realize that they are stepping on a manhole, and then they get into the manhole and they die. So these are issues which are peculiar to Bombay. Of course, there are solutions, but there should be people who should think about the solution. We think about the rains when it rains, we think about the flooding when it floods, and in a day or two, under the very sweet name of spirit of Mumbai, we just forget everything and we start our daily routine. And the political bosses really appreciate that we are going to forget it in 24 hours or 48 hours. And we don't use these as issues. You know, when emotional issues come during the elections, these basic issues which should be thrashed out with all the political parties never get discussed. And as a result, what happens is, you know, we get bad governance, we get bad people to govern us, and the real voice of the people is never heard. So, whenever we get a chance, please express your voice and let it be heard. Rains will trigger these kind of discussions time and again. And these discussions must happen, but unless they lead to something concrete, and concrete there is solution, but we know that awarding of contract, awarding of cleaning of this drains and stormwater, there is a lot of rumor that huge amount of corruption happens. And if this kind of corruption, if these rumors are true, then that's harmful for this city. Unless concerned citizens who are apolitical come together and tell the powers that be that we cannot tolerate it anymore, the city is bound to be strangulated day by day and would die a slow and painful death. We must save this city. We must save the people of this city. We have the solutions, but we have to get the powers that be agree to our solutions. This is a platform on which we want to bring all the problems and their solution to fore, and we want to tell the powers that be that the people have understood the problems of the city. Please wake up, otherwise it may be too late. With this is Chandrashekhar Prabhu bidding you au revoir, promising you to come back with more posts. Let us hope that the next few posts would be on a good note. I don't have to talk about flooding and deaths and landslide. Bye for now.